Alrighty, we are live. Happy Sunday, everyone. Good morning. Yeah, so this morning I'm so excited. I'm also working on coffee, so I'm not awake yet. But today we have ReignWeaver, and we are going to talk about leathersmithing. And today I have Choco with me, which is so exciting. I think this is the first time we've been on a podcast together. So,
are you sure?
It might be maybe one. It would have been a while ago, though.
I recognize your background, so we've been. Okay. We talked about wig styling once.
Oh,
we talked about anime cosplays, another podcast.
Because I know you've done a couple with Jinx. I think I've only ever done maybe one or two with you. I don't know. Last year I wasn't on that much.
But definitely this is not the first one because I recognize, I definitely can recognize stuff in your room and stuff like that.
Yeah, this hasn't changed in a while. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's why I say I'm still working on my first cup of coffee. I think we're all very tired today, so it's going to be very chill. But we'll just start with introductions and dive in. If you guys have any burning questions about textiles and leatherworking and stuff, these are the two to talk to. They have an immense amount of knowledge. So this will be a fun episode. Hello, Hopeless Knight and Cool Gamer from YouTube. Happy to see you. I'm Chibi Raincloud. I'm the Pacific Northwest host for CosTalk Live. I've done a little bit of everything from panel working to competitions to judging, but my favorite place to be is in the workshop learning new things. I've decided today I think I'm going to take this costume to Emerald City Comic Con, so I'm wearing it to test it out to see if it's worth taking to a big convention. This is my D&D OC Yoko. She's a barbarian Oni, so I'm kind of liking it. I always recommend telling people, if you have a new costume, wear it around your house for a little while so you know how it fits before you take it to con. So that's what I'm doing today. Good morning, Sakura.
Are you gonna get horns?
Yes, I have horns. It's just only 11 a.m. my time, and I spent my morning making glass apples.
I know. I'm sorry. I just got excited. Okay.
Yeah, no, I have pictures up on my Instagram of the actual full piece. I'm just very tired and lazy today, so no, I'm really excited about it.
Yep. I'll go next to introduce myself. I'm Cosplay Choco. I'm currently residing here in AZ. I definitely plan to transfer soon for college and stuff. But I have been cosplaying for, I have no idea how long anymore. It's all a blur. It's blending together. It's at least 5 years. And I like sewing a lot. And that's it. I love sewing. I'm very chaotic. That's about it.
Wonderful.
Jump in next. I'm ReignWeaver Cosplay. I've been cosplaying for about 5 years. Currently residing in AZ, but hoping to see where life takes me. I'm kind of specialize in construction. I have a background in theatrical design, so that's where I come from. And they brought me on today because I actually specialize in leathercraft for cosplay. I love designing. I love building. I'm currently working on from The Legend of Vox Machina. I'm doing a human version of Umbrasyl, so that's going to be a lot of cosplays in the works right now.
I'm so excited. I haven't watched the next season yet because I've just been crazy busy. I know I'm going to cry. I've already heard what's coming.
I will cry.
Yeah, no, I already know I'm going to cry. I think I'm going to do it today because I have some time today. So I think I'm just going to sit down.
They dropped 3 episodes to start, so you got plenty to watch.
Yep. No, I had a bunch of anime to catch up on this week, and so I caught up on that, and now I'm like, okay, I can sit and watch Vox Machina.
And I am cosplaying Bruno because it's one of the easier cosplays I have today.
Alrighty, so
this is me halfway into Gem and the holograms. I put the wig on, put the thing I wanted to put on the top, and then I was like, actually, we're done.
It's Sunday of a con when you're just
it's actually Sunday.
Alrighty, so Sakura Elric says good morning from YouTube. Hello, dear. Matthew, hi. I love my friends. Happy to see all your faces. I watched the first 2 episodes of Vox. It's so good. I'm so excited. Alrighty, so do we want to just dive in? Is there like a 101 easy beginner, this is the type of leather that you should look into if you're getting started, easy basic advice, and then we can get into the more detailed things?
Yeah, we can start with the basics. If you're talking about the leather to get started with, you've got 2 basic separate styles of leather. I mean, you're going to have different leathers based off of the animal that it's coming from. Sheep's going to feel different than goat. It's going to feel different than deer. It's going to feel different than your basic hide, which is normally cattle. A lot of leather right now is actually coming out of Brazil, surprisingly. So that's where you're going to find a lot of that. But it comes down to 2 different dyeing styles out of factory. There is veg tan, which is tanned using tree barks, and that actually allows for 3D manipulation of the leather, wet dyeing, wet molding, which is where you actually submerge the leather, let it dry, and it molds to that shape and hardens, and chromium tan. Chromium tan, those fibers are locked. You can't manipulate it. It's actually dyed using chromium salts. So you're not going to be able to change the color, change the texture, do any 3-dimensional tooling. So I usually work a lot in vegetable tan leather because of the ability that it can give you to change the color. You're going to be able to dye it. You're going to be able to tool it. It's more versatile. It's kind of, I equate it to foam. For anyone who's been a foam smith.
Yeah. People
That's what I do.
3-dimensional leather tooling
all the
is
time.
like foam tooling, but you substitute heat for water. So this is actually something I'm working right now.
For people who don't understand like tooling, the best way I could describe tooling is that when you see people do like the little slashes in their foam and like the etches in their foam and stuff and all of those kind of work, that would be like the synopsis of what tooling is. This is not a very common phrase, but that's what we're talking about.
And tooling is also a leatherworking term in itself, where what you actually do is you lay out the leather piece. You would actually go ahead and create the 3-dimensional in. So you actually trace using a stylus, whatever you're doing, and then you would go in with one of these. This is called a swivel knife. I actually love, so they come in metal usually, but you can get ceramic tips for them and they'll always stay sharp. So you actually cut in those designs and then you take a little mallet, not metal, and they have tooling tools, which are, they're a beveler, so it's an angled piece or a flattener, and that's how you create the 3-dimensionality. You're actually smushing down those fibers to create 3-dimension. And so this is actually undyed. This is a tooling piece that I'm working on right now. So that's my belt to Tiamat. And so that all started just as like this here, just a flat piece that you then do that 3-dimensionality. And this is the color of veg tan undyed. It's a little darker just because there has been water applied to it, but
I would also say that this is very advanced. I would still say this is sort of advanced. For people who are looking like, oh, I really just like want to dip my toes in like gently, you need to look for places like wholesale fabric stores that have leather scraps, and look for like some vegetan in the scraps there. I know that the Arts Resource Center of Phoenix, if you are a student or a teacher, they always have scraps of leather for free for you to get, or just very cheap to go get. Testing out with scraps is a very good idea. And also like bookbinding, YouTube is like one of the best places to learn leather work ever. I don't
Okay.
know. I would also start off with a very like not very thick piece. Thick leather is harder to work than thinner leather.
Yeah. So leather actually comes in ounces
Okay.
for thickness. It's 0.4 millimeters is 1 ounce. And so that's when you're seeing the measurements like 9 ounce, that they're talking about the thickness of leather.
Oh, okay.
And 9 ounce is actually a very thick leather. That's the farthest step up to what they call saddle hide, which is 12 ounce. And that's, you're talking about like that guy. It's thick. Other good resources for finding leather. Michaels and while they don't have large swaths of it, both Michaels and Joann's have started carrying your basic leather tools and starter kits. And a starter kit is fantastic. It's going to walk you through it. Everything is pre-cut. Instead of having to go there like and use a knife or a box cutter usually to do that. Those are great. Another one is there's one final company that still has box retailers for leather, and it's called Tandy Leather Company. We actually have two in the valley here, but they just go ahead and see if Tandy has if there's a store near you, because on top of being able to get the leather, everyone that is hired there either teaches classes or is a trained leathersmith, and so they can answer questions for you as well.
Yeah,
they do.
for people who
They
are Pacific
really know their stuff. Everyone wants to go there for like in the theater. That's the place to go. So
in
the Pacific Northwest area, we also have two leather smithing. There's one I think it's in Bellevue, the outskirts, and then there's one in Marysville of all places. So people who on my area are interested, you can always check out, of course, Joann's and Michael's. Go to their I know Michael's now it's in the cosplay section in our area, but for sure, the leather place in Marysville is where I started getting my bits of leather. I've been kind of dabbling in it because the reason I'm so interested is one of my dream cosplays that you guys got to see at Ooh, my Deedlit. I did that out of foam, but I decided I wanted to try doing it again, but I want to do it in leather because after reading the novels, it shows that her armor is actually a leather set. And so I was like, oh, well, that would be really cool if I could actually do this. But I was like, maybe not. But after a little bit, and actually I saw your table with all the different leathers and stuff. And then I have a friend up in my area that does leather smithing and was just like, here. And so now I really want to learn how to do it.
A thing is leathersmiths want more people to do leathercraft because it is a dying industry. Like other than mass production, you don't have a lot of people who are still doing it. So if you have interest and you know someone who's doing leather, they will like jump on it to be like, here you go, try this, please. Like get into this. And I would say, because you brought up foam work, the difference between foam work and leather in appearance is going to be weight. Foam you can make foam look like leather.
That's what I've done.
Yeah. Hang and move like leather in a lot of ways. And so there's just a difference in like weight in presentation.
Yeah, because I was doing a little bit of leather stuff. I was taking foam and turning it into leather actually for my Vax from Vox Machina. And so I was doing some treating with really thin EVA to make it have the look. But it was still really lightweight. And I honestly had a lot of struggle with it. But that's all I know how to do. I do own leather smithing tools though, but that's all because I was using it on my foam.
That is also a nice thing, is a lot of the foam smithing tools and like the 3-dimensionality can just translate over to leather. So there's a lot of like back and forth you can use with it as well.
Oh, you're back. I'm back. Someone just kept calling me even though I told them I couldn't talk. Okay, it's fine. It's all good.
All right. Well,
but did you talk about your table at cons, how you bring stuff for people?
I was
I
about
have
to. Let me.
not.
I'm gonna hit some comments, and one of those actually
Let's do that.
gets brought up. So yeah. So Matthew, happy to see Rain. He had a cool setup at this game on table with leather scraps to test out and see different stamps and stuff, and it was very cool. Also, hi Joe, hi Jessica. And then Matthew continues with leather can be expensive. So practice first, like everything, before you decide on the actual piece. That's what mock-ups are for. I don't care who you are or how far in cosplay or how talented you are. Mock-ups.
Mock-ups are great, and a lot of people use foam as their mock-up for leather work. Like that is the way I have heard on the street it's done. Not that I've ever
Yes,
used a mock-up for
absolutely.
leather in my life because I'm chaotic like that. But
and Soccer Alex says there's a Tandy Leather in Canada. It's located in Vancouver, BC. Oh, that's really cool. I had no idea.
Yes, they're Northwest only. They just pulled out of Spain.
Yeah, and for anybody interested, we have a share of all the tandyleather.com, so you can see if there's any one near you. Joe continues on with Most Steampunk has great leatherwork panels and clinics. So yeah, that's probably a good place to start is steampunk and like D&D cosplays.
oh yeah, I would check Arizona Steampunk Society if you are here in AZ. They are a huge collection of artists and teachers. Some of them are actual teachers, like they have been in my community college and they have taught me things. So they're really, really nice, and they used to meet up a lot. But you have a question on there on the Facebook group, and you will get like tons of answers, no problem.
Oh, that's amazing.
A very welcoming community. Other great resources if you don't have someone to talk to. Prince Armory is fantastic. They put out YouTube videos. There are actually Twitch streamers who just do leather work as well.
Yeah, they do it live.
So they'll do it live as well. And then there's actually a whole leather side of TikTok as well. So
I might have to fall down that hole. Well, Hopeless Knight says his table is so cool and it was fun at Uwu. So yeah, me and Head and Clouds and Hopeless Knight all I actually met Rain for the first time there, and the table was amazing. It was so cool, like actually seeing some of the finished products versus some like raw leathers and stuff, especially because like I have zero knowledge in this. Like I'm a baby leather worker, so it was really cool to see what you had. And I think that's what basically started our conversation was I saw Critical Role stuff in leather and I was like, oh, hello. So yeah, so tell us about your table.
Yeah, so I've had the pleasure of actually being invited now to 2 different cons. Started at Game On and then went to Uwu. And I knew I wanted to do something different. And I don't have anything to sell. Well, I will in the future now that I have more time to actually like make leather items to sell. But I've always loved teaching. And so I said, you know what I'm going to do is bring leather scrap and let people try leather stamping. Because to say that there's a stigma of like, that looks like a lot and it looks hard it's very small, you know?
It's very common.
Being able to give people that first step and be like, hey, this is the type of leather that you want to try and this is what it's going to do. And then letting them actually try it is a good confidence boost, and it, letting people go, oh, okay, it's not as hard as everyone thinks.
That's exactly it. Because when I was prepping for Uwu, I was staying with Thermo, and Thermo built their parn out of leather, and so that was my first time seeing somebody process, work, and paint leather like in front of me, and not just like either a video or like a quick post on Instagram. So after watching Sam work with it, I'm like, oh, it really doesn't feel that complicated. It has a lot of the same techniques that I already know. It's just applying it to a new material. I actually got to help paint some of the leather, and I was like, oh, well, this isn't that bad. So that's kind of what really sparked me going, okay, well, maybe in leather is a totally reasonable project that I can start working towards.
Yeah, it's more daunting looking than it actually is.
Especially for people, if you already, like, for example, if you already work with foam, if you already sew, and like you have those techniques at your disposal, you just like, it's very similar. You just apply those techniques to here. It's like, you know, like the shift from like foam to warbler, it's different. But they use some of the same principles. So like it's just like that kind of shift. It's just learning like a two different technique in a slightly different, you know, accent or language.
And honestly, working with water versus heat would probably do me a lot of favors here up in the Pacific Northwest. It'd be a lot easier for me. And that's Chaotic Neutral Cosplay. We've had them on the show too. They do a lot of leather stuff, and I got to go into their workshop, and they just had a bunch of leather just laying out drying, and they were like, "Oh yeah, I'm just working on the next big project," and I was like, "Oh, that's so cool."
Yeah, leather work is especially super like big here in Arizona, like everywhere. I mean, I go to a lot of vintage stores, antique stores, or like, you know, you go to Prescott or get like Bisbee or like those areas, and you like there's just random leather stores, like leatherwork stores everywhere.
Well,
and
things do dry so fast there.
They,
I think that's
yeah,
what shocked
the
me. Is
drying
like
is the patience is the hard part. If you lack patience, you're gonna learn. You're gonna learn.
No, because
leather works on its own schedule.
Yes.
When we were working with Parn, it was like literally the day before Uwu, and Thermo hadn't even painted their leather pieces yet. They were just processed and basically shaped and ready to go. And I'm like, "What do you mean you haven't painted yet? Like, there's no way this project's getting done." But I'm from the very cold and wet climate of Washington, which means you got to give it like 72 hours before it's actually probably finished drying.
Yeah.
Anything less than that, even in like the dead of summer, and it's not dry. And so I was like panicking, and Sam's like, "No, just start painting it." And like I would paint a piece, and then by the time I was done, like that first half was already dry, and I could go back over, and I was like, "Oh,
it's
this is way
dry
easier."
here. For one, it's dry here, and then the second, I swear, like I know, especially like Sam has really good paint taste. Sometimes it comes down to like the paint you use, and if you really like leather paint, you can literally find quick dry leather paint. You can find like FX paint, especially. I love that brand. That's one of my favorite brands. Even though I've only used it once, I keep recommending it to people.
What are your favorite paint brands for doing the leather thing? Like, what do you usually use?
That's an interesting question in itself, because there is specifically leather paints.
Yeah, I've used Angela's before.
The company Kova Color has full sets of leather paint. However, you don't need specifically a leather paint for leather. Any latex-based paint, which is your basic like acrylics, will go on top, because there's a difference between a dye and a paint. A dye is going to seep into the leather, whereas the paint will sit on top.
Oh yeah, let me get my acrylic one.
So I can show, actually, a good example is this. This is my Doctor Strange Plague Doctor hat. The dye is the blues, whereas the gold sits on top and is painted on top of it.
Oh.
So here we go. So this is just basic metallic acrylic on. First of all, I don't recommend beating leather. Don't do it. I don't know what I was thinking. It's not fun. It's pretty. No. It's like a good skill flex. You know, I entered this in the novice category, and they were like, "Are you insane? What's wrong with you?" Okay, here's your award. But
we should explain why beating leather is hard. So, unlike fabric where you can sew through it, you have to individually punch every single hole.
Right.
Or you just get a leather needle. You get a leather needle. They're really cool looking. They're fantastic. They have a specific shape at the end. Yeah, however, instead of I did this with no thimble. Here's one. I didn't have a thimble. I know.
Crazy.
There's a lot. I literally was like using the ground as my thimble to like poke it through. And the problem is that when you sew with leather, you better get it right the first time. If you get it right the first time, throw it out. Like you're gonna see like tiny little holes or huge little holes where you sewed, and it's gonna be absolutely horrendous. But
I always suggest marking your punches.
Yeah,
So that
that's so
you
smart.
know where you're punching and to sew.
Or if you
Also,
want to Bob Ross it like I did,
don't be like Choco. Punch your holes. It's gonna save you
just
so much
free
time.
form, guys. Experiment. But yeah, this is literally just acrylic, and like the funniest thing is because of the way like leather like paints and stuff, it looks like you can make leather pieces look like brushed metal real easy. Like it is honestly
That
one of the best. It's flexible a little bit, especially if you hadn't soaked it and like
Yes.
formed it. Like these are not like soaked or formed pieces because I wanted that flexibility. I was dancing a lot on stage for this skit and it was not going to work if I didn't feel like I could move.
mhm.
But leather pieces personally way easier to pack than foam pieces in a suitcase. For one, like it's just, you know, like foam, right? You can like bend it and it starts like even a little
Melting
bend,
this morning.
sometimes it cracks and then you have to heat form it again so that it like goes back into place. But like leather is just like, all right, here we go. I don't care.
Yeah, Autumn Cosplay, she has some incredible leather pieces. And when I got to talk to her it was I want to say Kelowna Comic Con. She had some of these big metal pieces, and I swore they were foam just because of how clean the metal looked. But she was like, "Oh no, everything I do is leather," and I was like, "How did you get it to look like metal?" And I was so shocked. Is it so? Back to the paint thing. So, like,
Right.
is that literally just acrylic, or?
It
That
can
what
be
I use
anything,
there is just
honestly.
acrylic, just 99-cent acrylic from Michael's.
Yeah, this
It's
acrylic
crazy.
was from Walmart, so I mean, literally,
It's
and like the little
it'll
like I
take a
got little
few
like metal studs.
right. It'll take a few passes, but just like anything, if you want it clean, it's gonna take a few anyways. So.
Right. Oh, that's just crazy cool.
Yeah, I definitely recommend the more like flexible like paints
Yes.
and stuff. Thin coats for the win. Thick coats, it looks really, you're thinking like, I'm getting a lot of coverage here, but it's not as nice, I promise. I paint a lot of leather. Painting leather is mostly like my thing. I paint a lot of leather shoes. If you're looking for shoes to paint for cosplay, go for leather shoes. You can do like fabric shoes. However, like the paint, it like bleeds through the fabric sometimes. It
Yeah.
doesn't stick to the spot that you want it to do. But when you paint on leather, you paint a line, there's no bleeding involved. It stays right where you painted it. And you can make leather look like textured, like, you know, like fabric. I mean, there's suede, for example. Suede has like this nap on the top. Nap is like a texture. Any texture fabric is you called what the texture part is called a nap.
Wait.
And it's so nice and so luxurious. I have it on the side of my venti cosplay even, because it's like such a nice material to work with, especially because at the time I would rather work with suede than velvet. I'm gonna be straight up with you.
Yes.
Velvet
I
for
hate velvet.
applique reasons, terrible off white sheds, tomatoes. Like leather is fantastic for appliques and small patch details and stuff like that. It can like and it can be cheap. Like they weigh it by the pounds or like ounces at stores, and you can just get scraps, really nice high quality scraps for like $2, and then all of a sudden you have like a very expensive looking costume. So
Yes, exactly. And just to go back to what suede is for those listening. So this is what's known as full grain. The difference in this and suede is, so there's two sides, right? This is the inside of the cow. This would be the hide itself. They just completely shear off the full grain. So they just take off one layer, and so it's both sides are like the interior of the
Got it.
of that there.
So some comments. We have a Thermo Sidekick. Hiya. I don't do much with leather, but my AWL is probably my favorite tool. I've used it
An
not
awl?
just for real leather. Yeah, an awl. Sorry, I wasn't sure how to pronounce that. But fake leather to fix many Goodwill boots.
Yes.
Yeah, and Soccer Elrig, I am shocked that normal acrylic will work on leather. Oh my gosh, heckin' A. Hopeless Night, that's good to know because I'm painting my Todoroki canvas shoes from Michaels, and the shoes were difficult. I feel like shoes is kind of a challenge when you're
Shoes
first
is
getting into
hard.
it.
Shoes are my favorite thing. I'm very good at shoes. I don't know if you could like pull up a pic of like
I could.
the Jolene possibly, because that is like
Yep.
my favorite painting job I've done to date with my shoes. Everyone, like, some people are like, are your pants attached to the soles of your shoes or like stuff like that? It's I love like painting leather shoes for cosplay because you can even find finishes where you can pick between a matte finish and a gloss finish, and you can just like blend your shoe into your entire costume, and like it's
This is the
fantastic.
one.
I've had people be like, I thought your shoes were part of your pants. Like it's just
Holy cow,
super
yeah.
fun. The bottom of the heel, that green, that's regular acrylic. It's super
Yep.
regular, super boring. So are the lines. Absolutely regular. The base of it, that was Leather Studio paint. But I love Leather Studio. That one has worked really well for me. Those are memes. I always end with a meme. I'm so sorry.
No, you have to.
Gotta
I
work
love
that
it.
algorithm.
Yeah. And then we also have a pic possibly of like, I think your Doctor Strange, your hat that
Yes.
has paint in it. Oh, you just have it. Okay.
Yeah.
This guy here.
Yeah.
There you go.
Super like
Yeah,
as
the
you can see, it
trouble
looks-
that I had, this was a learning lesson, both me and my partner actually, as we painted a pair of like, they were pleather, but it started to chip on us, but we weren't smart. We didn't do the like rubbing alcohol to like wash down the boot first to get some of the
Oh.
stuff off. We just didn't know. It was something we hadn't come across when we were
Yeah,
doing research.
I use baby wipes.
Yep.
Unscented baby wipes.
It's just wipe it all down.
Yeah, because I was like, ugh, getting like a cotton ball and then getting the rubbing alcohol. That sounds really an extra step. I was like,
but it does help for people that might be working with boots and stuff, because the problem that my partner had with her boot, we even used like fairly okay paint. It was a leather paint, but it started to flake on all of the flexible parts of the boots, but that's because we didn't do
it's that layer of dust that you
Uh,
don't see. I'm
Yeah,
gonna be
it's
honest,
that
it's
layer of
dusty
dust.
out here.
Also, if you don't put down enough coats, it might start to flake on you. So you just want to make sure that that's consistent. You've just got 2 to 3 layers down. One's never enough.
One's
Right.
never enough. I think the golden epiphany of coats is like 3 to 4. I'm gonna be
Yes.
honest. 3 to 4 is like the golden ticket number in my opinion when it comes to like at least like your base color coat, right? If it's
Mhm.
like detail work and stuff, I can see you getting away with like 2 or like 3, but like the base solid color, like 3 is the way to go. And then if you like put it up to the thing you want to match or something and it's not matching just exactly
Keep
the way
going.
you want, it sounds like it needs another coat of paint, and sometimes that will just fix your problem.
So Soccer Art goes on with the nape also goes in one direction, so you got to be careful with the way you lay your patterns and pieces like that.
Yeah.
Yep. That sounded like I've been there, done that.
I don't want to talk about it. Me and
Okay.
Velvet are gonna fight one day. We're gonna duke it out. Like,
I had to work on a velvet cape. I did a commission for the first time in ages, and it was everywhere. I was like, why did I agree to this project? Because it was right before a con, so I had velvet just everywhere, and I was like trying to wipe it up, and I was using like a
I
lint
have
roller hitting everything.
it.
there is no nice velvet. I was like, there's nice velvet, all right, but velvet will never be nice to you.
No.
No.
Ever. It's either too thick, And those are the ones that are like, okay, you don't like shed everywhere and I can kind of sew you and have a nice body to it, but you're so thick and you're so annoying. And like, it will, like, if you cut it the wrong way, even though if it's on the, like, if you're on the grain, you're like lining up your fabric completely correct. And you could cut it that way, but you shine a light on it and it looks like a completely different color on one side because you cut it wrong. It's that sensitive. It has a personality.
Insomnia Matt says, I love the Plague Doctor Strange hat and mask. So cool in person. Cool piece and all. A cod piece and all. Excuse me. ReignWeaver's finish is always A plus. I mean, that's a good finish. Let's talk about finishing. So when you're working with leather, what are some of the best ways to finish it?
So there are two different kinds of finishes. There is an aerosol finish that you can actually just aerosol spray right on. Phoebings makes both a matte and a gloss, which is great because whatever you're going for the finish. Or there is what's called saddle tack, which it wipes on. So whatever you're looking for, there is options for you. But I always use those aerosols, especially being in Arizona. It's just so easy. You just like you're finishing foam or even finishing like an acrylic paint, you just spray it right on and it finishes for you.
Yeah,
well, that's nice.
I apologize.
I love the control of having a brush. Personally, I like the control of like a hand brush. It's like very like lethargic or like very relaxing for me to like paint things with my hands. So if that's your cup of tea, then those finishes are great.
Yes, and I do have a secret for finishing, especially for cosplay. Because if you're gonna go photo shoots, all of that stuff, no leather is truly waterproof, but you can make it a lot more so. They actually sell, it's a white tub. It's called snowproofing. It's fantastic. It's like a butter consistency that you just wipe right on. It has a really nice vanilla
what is it called? Say that word again.
Snowproofing.
Snowproofing. Okay.
Yes.
Because that's what I need to know how to do because I live in Washington.
Yeah.
And it'll prevent your leather from, even after sealing it, there might be some bleed, but it'll prevent that bleed.
Okay, cool.
That, or they also make, I'm drawing a blank on it, but they actually have oil that you can put onto your leather as well. And that is fantastic. I don't know why it's
blanking on me too. I've literally watched a video on
it. Otters. So.
Yeah. I've watched a video on
mink foot oil. That's what it's called.
Oh. What it's called?
Mink foot oil.
Okay. Mink. I don't want to talk about mink. Sorry, this is more hi. This is actually just the textile panel where I'm like, hi, here's some textiles I hate.
No, thank you. I'm taking notes. So
now we went over finishing, but do you also want to talk about dyeing techniques and different dyes?
Yes.
Because there are a few different dyes. So you have an oil-based dyes. They have what are called watercolors, which are all right. I've been able to get some nice color out of some of them, but they're usually lighter. If I need a nice sickly green, I'll use a seafoam watercolor. But what I actually love is EcoFlow makes a water dye.
I would say
it's just a water-based dye. It will stain your hands, but it's going to go away after a day or two, so you're not dealing with those oils. Yeah. And that's actually what this blue is. This is Evening Blue by EcoFlow.
EcoFlow is really nice because even though it gets on your hands, you're not going to die. Dyeing is a very scary process and can be very dangerous. So having like the correct safety tools that you need, like gloves and a face mask even. I have a theater teacher that was like, hi, I really don't like the oh my gosh, it's like the synthetic dye like all of us cosplayers use for wigs right now.
Yep.
It's
Yeah.
like at Joann's.
With the,
It is not food safe,
the Rick
so
dye?
it's safe for you to touch. It
Yep.
is there
That's
it
what
is.
I do.
Rick dye. It's not food safe. It is safe for you to get on your body, like you won't die, but
Yep.
it's not safe to consume, even though it says it's like a misleading safe, you know, like
Mhm.
Right. Like keep
be
in
aware.
mind.
My teacher was like, also when I was dyeing like fabric so much in such a long part of time because I was doing ombre, that she sneezed blue for a week. So like dyeing can be very scary. But I really like Dynaflow. Dynaflow is really cool. It's
Dynaflow's
a very
great.
versatile dye, so it's not some dye that you can only use for like leather, but you can use it for like other things. You can like even use it for paint. You can use it for airbrushing. You can also airbrush your leather, but like
Yes, exactly. Because this EcoFlow, it's a liquid, so you can go
Mhm.
ahead and just airbrush it right on. With dyes, the more you put on, the darker it's going to be. So, but there is an exception to that, and I love this stuff, buddy. You got to move. I love you, but so EcoFlow came out with something called antiquing gel. It's a gel form that you put on, and instead of amount, it's time. The longer it sits on, the darker it is.
Okay.
And so you can get these beautiful effects. Like, so this is my Oberon Martel belt here. This is two different EcoFlow antiquing gels. There is a briar brown and a saddle tan. And what that does is, if you have that three dimensionality, it actually falls into those grooves and helps exaggerate it because you get your highlight and your shadow in those grooves.
Yeah, that's a really cool way to do that, because you know a lot of us do that, like highlighting the shadows with the wet like paper towel and like black acrylic paint technique, where
Yep.
you're just like, this looks right, maybe.
It's also fantastic, like its name. It's made for aging. I was actually taught a technique while I worked at Tandy Leather Company. If you apply it with a paper towel, crumple that paper towel, pour it in, and dab onto the leather, it's going to add unevenly, and it'll create a marbled effect.
We love paper towels.
And then all you do is just wipe it off, and it'll create that marbled effect for you.
That's so cool.
I love paper towels. My best friends.
But yeah, that's all really fascinating. And of course, Joe adds, always read and follow safety data sheets and protective gear.
Yes.
And this applies to all cosplay creations, resin casting, leatherworking, dyeing. There's always something. So please keep that in mind. And then we have another comment. Choco, I don't want to talk about mink. Dead.
Yeah, listen, there are certain things where I'm like, do you guys want to talk briefly about, because I know we're talking about like real leather here,
Yes.
but do you want to talk about pleather, which is a really
we can talk about leather. I would also lump in, there has been a new fad within fashion of leather alternatives.
Yeah, I know. I've
lot
heard
of talk
about
about
it.
cactus leather. And what people also need to understand about those is it will look like leather. It'll feel like leather. It does have a plastic finish over the top. And so just be careful, because if you want to do any burning or that kind of stuff, just like chromium tan, it's going to release chemicals.
Okay.
Yeah. There are certain things I love. I mean, I personally do really like certain pleathers. You just have to know how, or like fake leathers, you just have to know how to work with it and know its limits. A lot of people like treating fake leather like it is real leather. And there are certain, because it's like there's a lot of plastic or like plastic coatings or plastic finishes on things. It does not behave like it's supposed to. Like, for example, you watch a cosplay with pleather in it, you aren't supposed to watch that costume on hot temperatures. You should
Right.
never. It will compromise the integrity of your costume. Or I've seen people wear, it's one of the things where like pleather, low quality pleather is a really dangerous gamble where we live in Arizona because it's so hot.
Yeah, exactly.
Things can like start peeling or like shedding and stuff. But if you find like good pleathers, usually I really like pleathers that either have just like a plastic coating that is more of like a more stable like thermoplastic finish. It's really hard to tell, but like, sorry, I have like a piece of pleather.
No, you're good.
For example, you can tell by like if you stretch out your pleather, right, and you don't see like
You froze,
stretch it
dear.
out, sometimes you get to see like little gaps or something in the pleather if you
This is
Choco,
pleather.
do you,
really stretch it out.
thank you. You froze, so maybe try refreshing so we can see what you're talking about.
I did.
Yes.
Oh, that's sad. Yeah. Bye. I'll be back.
While also she's fixing that, I can also talk about a more advanced technique for dyeing. It's messy. I'm gonna say that first and foremost.
Okay.
It is called, if you have access to a drill or a rotary tool, you can actually take a wool dauber, put it on the end, put it in dye, and spin it. And this is what's called a block dye. What it does is an opposite of those antiquing gels where you get the dye on the tops, but not inside the grooves like this.
Whoa.
And this is an example of something that is great that Tandy Leather has as well. They'll already have pre-embossed leathers for you. If you want a specific color of alligator skin, if you want a specific color of snake, you can go get that veg tan leather already embossed with the three-dimensionality in it, and all you have to do is cut, dye, and construct.
Okay,
So you don't
cool.
have to sit there and do all of the hand tooling yourself.
That is
All right.
actually really cool.
Choco,
yeah.
please show us what you were showing us.
I'm sorry.
You good.
But basically, like, yeah, you basically like the way you can test like pleather and stuff is that you're gonna like try to stretch your pleather to like its absolute limit. And if you see like tiny little rips and stuff, you can't really see it in this because like I made sure to buy like myself like a really nice suit, but that's how you know it's bad. And I know a lot of people are going around and like obviously with cyberpunk and like these techno aesthetics going on, plasticky looking like leather and like those vinyls, those are what the style like calls for. However, like there are limits to that. Or you can like, you wrap a piece of like pleather around like a foam piece to make it look like more stable, more thicker, like real leather and stuff. Like those are some techniques.
Yeah.
Well, and you brought up weather, which is a great thing to talk about with leather itself. Not so much in the leather, but always please be aware of, if you're wearing a large leather piece, it's not going to breathe on its own. Maybe you cut in, like I have my mask here. I knew that this leather wasn't going to breathe. I punched broguing holes. You always want, give yourself an out to always have that breathability. Hiding it in, if you're making a leather piece, maybe hiding it in the armpits or somewhere where heat needs to escape, because it's not going to breathe for you like other fabrics.
That was a big thing. Like Sam got overheated, which is why they changed out of Parn. And so it was something that we were like, okay, well, next time we do this, we need to remember like a more breathable piece. I'm actually looking into pleathers and stuff. I really want to do Leo from Promare, which is like an entire pleather outfit, which is why I haven't really wanted to do it yet, because
it's an entire pleather outfit, and darn well
I already know I'm gonna hurt.
First thing everyone's gonna recommend you get is like the Yaya Han, like actually produced for Leo.
I know, right? And I've looked at it and it's so shiny that like that's the reason why I've been like not wanting to do it, because I'm like, well, it's not supposed to be shiny. Like, yes, we have color, like you can see the reflection of colors from the animation style, but it's not shiny. And so I have been struggling so hard because I haven't wanted, I mean, her Leo is gorgeous. I love Yaya Han. Don't get me wrong.
It's
but
just
it's
people
not
have
the style
different
I want.
tastes.
Yeah,
on what,
it's I want to really like I want it to look really nice, and like doing leathers and pleathers is just, again, it feels intimidating when you're on the other side of the window going, what is this?
Well, that's another thing too, is leather and pleather play well with other fabrics. You know, whether it doesn't have to just be leather on skin. You can line it with another fabric.
I definitely recommend lining
pleather
it.
outfit, find a fabric that looks similar to that, and maybe put patches in the armpits, anywhere where it's going to rub. You know, comfort always is going to come first.
I definitely recommend like getting like wool or cotton to like patch yourself up, or like you want something that is gonna like probably be a little bit absorbent of like your oils and stuff like that, and natural fibers are really good at that. You can also, like, especially with pleather, you can use interfacing. There is stretch interfacing for stretch fabrics and stuff. You just have to find like the right stretch length for that interfacing, because there's different like buoyancies. It's really hard to describe, but it's like a way. And interfacing sometimes have wefts and stuff, so like you have to like be very careful with that, but it's a really good way to like stabilize your pleather, especially for like collars, right? You know, like if a pleather is thin, sometimes the collar is like really wavy, but like if you put a piece of interfacing on that, it's gonna stick up pretty well.
And that, when it comes to movement and leather, you're going to be thinking a lot about your ounces. Something that's thinner is going to move more than something that like a belt thickness, which you're looking at about a 6 to 8. Another great thing is a lot of places are carrying what's called milled leather, where they actually run it through a roller that grinds down and crushes all of those fibers. So it's no longer as stiff, it's more movement related. And different animals are going to have a different movement as well. If you're looking for something that you want really pliable and that has to move and flow, you're going to want to do more of a sheep over.
I was going to say sheepskin feels like it'd be a good one.
Yeah, and you can make like tough leather like kind of work for you and be more flexible. However, that's like time. That's a lot of time.
Yes.
I'm going to be honest.
That's a lot of like just taking a rolling pin and just rolling over it to grind or to crush those fibers.
Oh, so like a milled one is like
rolling pin. I literally just see people take a mallet for hours. That is so much smarter.
This is why we're doing this. So in Samia Matt says cactus leather. I had never heard that word before, so I learned something new today.
There's fish leather now, so
there is.
That I've seen.
Fish leather. You can find rattlesnake leather, like.
What? I'm sure you guys like my leathers are like, because I've seen fish leathers and stuff, but I also live next to the ocean. But like cactus leather and snake leather, that's probably easy to find up there.
Yeah, that sounds like Arizona, huh?
And then Anthony, hello to everyone on today's live stream. Sorry I came in a little bit late. Plus, love all your costumes you're wearing today. Thank you. Welcome. We are coming to the end. We got another sorry, my cats. Just under like 8 minutes or so.
Yes.
If you have any questions, please hit them up in the comments, because my main questions were about dyeing and like the basic processing. So I think I've run through my questions now. Is there anything else that you two want to add? Something you really want to cover real quick?
Other than like learning at cons is like the best way to go, and like feel free, especially if you see somebody like, oh, that's obviously leather, like they do leather work, like you should ask that cosplayer a question. If you ever see Reign Weaver
Yeah.
at a con,
If
they
if
will
I have a
answer
table at a
questions.
con, especially, like, come over and I can teach you something where you can come and do some stamping as well. I'm getting more nerd adjacent stamps, so
That's awesome. Yeah, no,
I would
seriously,
like Vox
that's how
Machina, please, right there.
yes. I mean that's where I started. Like as soon as I saw Autumn's work this last summer, I was like, oh my god. And then our conversation just started flowing from there. And now we talk quite a bit.
Oh my gosh!
So yeah.
Also, the Arizona Renaissance Fair is happening.
yes,
I've
they
learned, you guys, like, literally, I would like you to, like, just open a pamphlet of the Arizona Renaissance Fair and see what they offer. I'm not kidding. Like, they have, like, dyeing workshops. There's, like, a whole dyeing lecture on how, like, natural dyes work, and, like, they take, like, onion skins and, like real stuff, and they teach you how they would dye fabric in the Renaissance. I went to a
That's
glass
so
blowing
cool.
demonstration. It was super cool. It was super educated and stuff. They have metalwork workshops like that too. I don't know if they have a leather one. However,
well, even if they don't, they do over by the local yokel, the little village that they set up. That to the right of that, looking at it to the left, there is where they're actually hand making their own fabrics. They'll do leather stuff as well in there, but there are also multiple, and I know this because I used to work there, but there are multiple like leather smiths that will actually do leather craft on the floor of their shops, just like right there on the tables. You can ask them questions, you can watch them actually work. So they're leather craftsmen love to pass down the trade because it is something that is almost a craftsmanship and passed down from someone who's done it to someone who wants to try.
yeah, it was really cool to see too, because for a while I had been burn etching all of my leather pieces. Okay, I know this is bad, guys. Okay, we get it. But and that's how I learned that, like, oh, I guess if I was patient, I could, like, not use a wood burner anymore.
I mean, that's so cool. I will have to hit up Thermo and see if I can come to one of your Renaissance fairs. They sound so cool, so much cooler than ours, at least.
Starting February, the first weekend of February through the end of March. So it's coming up.
Yeah, it's
That's
so
crazy.
fun.
With that, myself and CosTalk are actually planning the first weekend of March a meetup and photo shoot for cosplayers for their Pirates weekend.
Pirates,
oh, that's so
Pirates.
cool.
Okay, I might have to go then. That
oh
would
my
be
gosh.
really fun. I keep missing the meetups too. They're super, like, they're just super fun.
Well, we have like a small Ren fair here that I've been going to every year. They need to. Last year there was so many people that they kind of messed up, and so I think they're trying to figure out how to expand or grow their space. It was an experience, but it always happens in summer because that's the only time it's palatable to go outside for long periods.
I love Arizona Renaissance Fair simply because there's a lot of places to sit.
No, and I keep seeing pictures of stuff because, like, of course, Thermo always shares good stuff from there, and like they look so cool. So we have comments. Anthony, love the cat. I saw ReignWeaver. Your cat has been dancing in the background for us.
He's more of the cosplayer and star than I am. He just wants all the attention.
Right. Arizona Ren Fair is a great place to find leatherwork. Also, come to Wild Wild West Con. There's so much leatherworking there. Insomnia Matt says Choco beat me to it, so it sounds like everybody was going to suggest the Ren Fair.
That's also another thing. Leather is very big, obviously, in the Western side, because there's like your medieval and your fantasy leather, but then there's also a whole subset of Western leather.
Western leather.
So
I'm like
Western
talking cowboys.
There's sometimes like tack shops as well.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I know that we have like there are other opportunities to incorporate leather. I know that there's like what is it? Wasteland is an event that they do in California.
That's big. That one is a little bit. It's also like if you want to just dip into like oh, I want to dip into leatherwork in a costume, but I don't want to have it be super, super clean. Wasteland, because it's apocalyptic, like, you know, like end of the world kind of
So
stuff.
you want it to look ragged.
Yeah.
Insomnia Matt, Chibi, please come to Ren Fair. You'd love it. It's very much on my radar. Actually, even before I went to UWU, I think me, Sam, and Lena were all talking about Ren Fair at some point, anyways. And our Ren Fair is pretty big, but it's packed to. Had an anxiety attack last year when the jousting got out. Oh no!
Oh, okay. So, like, the key, I have very quick Ren Fair breakdown, because I have these things. There is always a quiet corner. If you need a moment, go. If you're like, oh, I feel really overwhelmed and overstimulated, I recommend going to the petting zoo. Honestly, like, go to a petting zoo, pet some animals. There's another shop called Sky Chairs. They literally just let you sit in these like really awesome, cool freaking chairs that like hang and they like swing and stuff. And it's super calming. Any scent shop, you just
The
smell
Greyhounds
scents.
is also a great place to go and decompress.
The what?
We have a Greyhound rescue on site, and so it's people in full regalia with Greyhounds on leash, and they're always a good place to go and decompress as well. It's right there between Pan's Oasis and the stage right by the first stage when you come in. So it's relatively close as well. Also, good times to go if you want to avoid crowds is middle of the season. Beginning and end are going to be your busy seasons, so try to hit the middle of the season. Just avoid President's Day, because that is very busy.
Yeah,
President's Day is also the most affordable day, but like...
So Head in the Clouds says, Rain, what is your next big leather project or anything like any dream that you're currently working on?
So I have so many costumes to work on right now, because I have San Diego Comic-Con, WonderCon, Fan Fusion, all kind of in that same time. So I'm working on, when it comes to leather, probably the next big one is going to be either Umbrasil from Legends of Vox Machina doing a full humanized version, or Dorian Storm from Critical Role's Campaign 3, because I am going to be meeting Robbie Damon as Dorian. So
he has my whole heart. I love Dorian so much. Oh my gosh, I am so excited. I'm gonna just follow and just stalk your pages. Oh, you lucky duck. I want to meet. I was so sad. Robbie came to SoccerCon last year and I didn't get the chance to meet him just because my panels lined up with the times he was doing signings. So I didn't get to meet him. I was so sad.
I found out like a month or two ago he was just at a toy store here doing signings.
People just do that.
I
don't get it.
Something.
These
Apparently
toy stores
always
have
just
so
has
many connections.
Actors. Like,
what?
Yeah,
oh my
these
God,
toy stores are
crazy.
hilarious.
Well, Thermo Sidekick pops in and says, tack shops, aka saddle and horse supplies, is always a great place to strike up conversation about leather. And Soccer goes, Dorian is best. Oh my God.
As we are wrapping up, because we are unfortunately over time now, which is really sad. We should probably list all our socials, where to find us. And
wrap it up, because I have to go work on cosplay for the next 4 hours.
Fun.
Yeah, I have a big competition piece I'm working on.
All right, so we'll start off with, I'm pointing like I know who's on which side, but Chibi, you can go.
Okay. Hi, everybody. So you can find me Chibi_RainCloud on Twitch, TikTok, and Instagram. I'm hopefully going to start posting again. I took a little hiatus. It's been a long week. You can also find us in the Discord. I help run the CosTalk Live Discord. It's a great place to sit and chat about cosplay, ask questions, and look up tutorials. We also have Tip Tuesdays where we often talk about tips, and I'm probably going to compile the notes I have and make a nice little Tip Tuesday about this episode. I'll Thermo Sidekick, please post Discord. But yeah, go check out our Discord. I think that's it.
Fantastic. You can find me on Instagram at ReignWeaver_Cosplay, as well as a very small presence, like 4 videos on TikTok at ReignWeaver_Cos. Please, if you have any questions, message me over Instagram. I'll answer any of those for you. And if you see me at a con with a table, come try some leatherwork.
That's awesome.
All right. Hi, I'm Cosplay Choco. You can find me as Cosplay Choco on Instagram, sometimes Facebook and TikTok. And that is essentially it. I'm hoping to start streaming soon. Honestly, I'll be streaming a lot of the work that I have to do for like my first ever show, because I am designing for a play and I'm getting paid for it, which is very weird. And I'm
That
very
makes you a
excited,
professional.
utilizing all the techniques I've ever learned with con crunching and cosplay, like all into one. It's actually just an adventure, but very stressful. So I won't be updating much, but like I will have like a huge video. I mean, it's a majority Black cast that premieres on the first weekend of Black History Month in a Black owned theater. So like it's kind of a big deal. But that's it. Now everyone go try leatherwork.
Yeah. Thank you for tuning in. Happy Sunday, everybody, and have a great day. Bye.